Hello, everyone. Welcome to IOD Nations. We promote and launch national and international discussion about online citizen-led democracy and to unite as many pro-democratic world citizens as quickly as possible online. We believe if a business no longer requires brick and mortar, then a nation no longer requires land and border. Thank you for joining our live today. Our guest and everyone will be here soon. Before that, let us play a video for you and enjoy our Shine On video.
What if the world's next great democracies and nations will not be visible on a map? What if they cannot be attacked by a military or even bombed? To Ukrainians, Americans, and to the world's pro-democracy citizens, we say, in this crazy world where democracy is under attack, we propose a new way to avoid or stop these types of attacks with virtual, online, democratic nations. I recently lost a dear friend. As I watched in horror at Americans hiding pedophiles from justice, stealing my voting rights, and attempting to hide the dangerous history of slavery in our nation, my friend kept saying that democracy always dies, and that I should stop caring. As I watched my hero in Ukraine and Ukraine's soldiers and their brave citizens murdered and bombed because they choose to fight for freedom and democracy, he tried to tell me that this failure of democracy is inevitable. And I shouldn't care or fight back. I should just accept it. I argued that with that attitude and his actions, he was directly contributing to our American democracy dying. At this point, our friendship seems to have died as well. Then one day, while I was despondent about these deplorable deaths, I had an epiphany. He was right. Democracy does always die. But the epiphany was the most important fact. Throughout history, whenever freedom and democracy die, some crazy diamonds come along and they give birth to new freedoms and democracies. These deaths are not the end. They are the fertilizer, the inspiration, and the events that always lead or have always led to the rebirth of bigger, bolder, better versions of freedom and democracy across the world. That epiphany is when I realized that this is not a moment to be despondent. We live at a moment in history to be embraced and welcomed. Some of you listening to this, you are going to be the crazy diamonds that imagine, implement, and radically improve and expand the next births of freedom and democracy all across the world. John F. Kennedy reminded us of this during his famous speech when he commented on the two Chinese characters that represent the word crisis. One character represents danger. And yes, we must be wary of these dangers. But most important, the other character represents opportunity.
Remember when you were young, you shone like the sun. Shine on, you crazy diamond. And now there's a look in your eyes, like black holes in the sky. Shine on, you crazy diamond. You were caught to the crossfire of childhood and struggle, blood on the steel breeze. Come on, you target for far away laughter. Come on, you stranger, you legend, you matter and shine. You reach for the secrets too soon. You cry for the moon. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Threatened by shadows and night, exposing the light. Shine on, you crazy diamond. Well, you wore out your welcome with random precision, right on the steel breeze. Come on, you raver, you seer of visions. Come on.
Hey, Rakesh, let's go ahead and cut that and move into the show. Hey, Peter, how are you? Can anybody hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Joel. Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
Good, good.
Hey Joe,
Okay, let me
I've
just,
shared the Substack link
Hey,
in
Rakesh.
the chat. Hey Peter, how are you?
I'm good. We all have, who else is on? Joel?
we have Zoom user, not
Yeah.
quite sure. Um, and then I'm not sure if that's Nosib or Draco in the background, but Draco's not doing very well. He's sick today, and
Sorry to hear that.
we've continued to have some struggles with our our email got hacked, and so we've had some challenges with that. So we're running a little behind today.
Hey Joel,
Um,
is there something wrong with your camera? Because we can't see you.
oh, that's a great question. I was working with my laptop and not here. Let me double check something.
Your camera's
That
off.
didn't get. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get that going. Hey Joe, how are you? Where? Let's follow you to. Oh wow, it's plugged in. Why isn't it working? Let's try.
There we go.
Well, there's my camera, and now everything else disappeared off of my screen. So let me see if I can get that back here. What happened with that? Okay, bear with me. Why did that whole monitor just disappear? Okay, there's Peter. That's what we wanted. Okay. And all right. I think we're getting. Bear with me. Hey, Rakesh Draco, can we play a song as we're preferably not number 5, but could we get that and get that playing while I work out what happened with my monitor? Because I just had you guys and now I lost power to my monitor. So I need a little bit of time with that if we could.
All right.
I'm going to, yeah, I'll let you guys do that while I try this. Do not comprehend. Okay, display settings. Can not be detecting that display. Okay. My God, you were just there. What in hell's bells happened? Hang on.
Then pivot to change, move smooth, policy sharp, rearrange from Chi-town blocks to the global stage. Freedom's the beat, democracy's the wave. 2 steps forward, no going slack. Spin on the truth, keep the faces back. Hands in the air, that's a people's pack. Online we unite, no time to retract. The quest for freedom, gonna get gritty. The linchpin it seems, vote Prop 50. Do the Obama hands up for the fight. Left, right, center, all in the light. Dancing democracy, we're sparking the flame. The Obama shuffle, remember the name. Dancing the Obama vote Prop 50. Watch them get a twist in their titty. Teens in Seoul, Canada, Ukraine, Japan, Australia, and Finland. Mo tweet a post-it, via control. Algorithms bow to the movement's roll. Feet on the ground, but the vision sky high. Dance to the rhythm, no permission to shy. Echoes of hope, let the chorus fly. The whole world step and watch nations reply. Dancing the Obama vote Prop 50. Watch them get a twist in their titty. Center, all in the light. Dancing democracy, we're sparking the flame. The Obama shuffle, remember the name. Dancing the Obama vote Prop 50. Watch them get a twist in their titty.
Hey, everybody, can you hear me? This is Joel. We've been having some technical difficulties. Our email got hacked. Some other things happened. Jill, welcome back, Jill. We're going to have some good stuff for you today. Good to see you back. We've got 21 people in here. My name is Joel. I'm the founder of IODnations.org. That stands for International Online Democratic Nations.org. And up in the screen with us, you can see Peter. Peter, go ahead and say hi to everybody and introduce yourself if you could.
Hi, my name is Peter. I'm from Canada, and I've been talking with this group, IOD Nations, for quite a while now, about a month, and it's quite the concept. And I'm anxious to get it going and talking to a lot more people and getting them all together and sharing the same idea.
Well, cool, Peter. Thanks for being here. We're glad to have you. Peter's going to be filling in and working his way into moderating. He's learning some of the technical aspects of that, just the way that I am. And we've got some new team members who are also going to be working on that. So we're going to talk about a few things as we bring in people. So Chardonnay commented she couldn't quite understand the words to the song. So that was a song I did in the middle of the night. I created with AI, Chardonnay. And basically it was to promote Prop 50 in California to offset the gerrymandering that's been happening across the United States. And so we came up with some really fun songs and some fun videos to go with them that we tried to create a dance contest to see if that could be a way that we would get people to take notice of us, right? I've made the point that I would say or do damn near anything to get people across the world talking about what online citizen-led democracy is and what it can become. And so those songs in AI, you can create a song and then you can have the AI turn it into all kinds of different genres of music, or at least add that flavor. So the version that you heard there was the bluegrass version of encouraging people to support Prop 50 and to do the Obama shuffle as a part of our dance contest. The music, I love the music. I'd rather work with real musicians than AI, but it gets the message across, and it does it in a really fun, entertaining, and actually makes some pretty damn good music. So that's what you were listening to. Um, so uh, if you haven't been in our live feed before, IOD Nations is dedicated and committed, and our sole purpose is to unite as many people online democratically as possible. Now, some of you, I see some names in here. A lot of them uh, are people who have been here before, and it looks like we've got some people rolling in now. So I'll give the spiel about what IOD Nations is and what we stand for again in a few minutes. But we're the only live feed you're going to come into that has an actual plan, tactics, and strategy to protect, defend, improve, and expand freedom and democracy across the world. We're not going to sit idly by. Um, we're not going to be like other Substacks that are so focused on what the problems are. We're here to focus on solutions. So to any of you who have shared your email with us in the past, you just recently got an email today that is in regards to everyone who said they would like to volunteer or participate. So we listed a number of things that we can use assistance with. This includes social media outreach. I call them prepackaged or pre-written emails with a template that you can customize to yourself, or you can use it basically just the way it is, and a bunch of email addresses that we're going to send to. Another area, for instance, we have right now we have 3 or 4 videos that are in various stages of being complete that accomplish a number of different goals and objectives with communicating our messages and messages. But unfortunately, with our email and our the guys in Bangladesh who we work with, their computers got infected. And then Draco, who does the majority of our work, is really not feeling well today. And so we're just a small group, and so we're not able to work on that content today or yesterday to get it to you and for you and to the world, to tell the world what online citizen-led democracy means and what it can be. And that's why we're asking for volunteers to help. We We desperately need someone else who can work on videos. The number of things that we have going, it's just too much for Draco to handle. It's just not possible, especially with our time zone differences, our the language barrier. Draco is absolutely amazing, but there's a lot of challenges there that we're seeking help and assistance with. So, for everybody who just rolled in, my name is Joel Coman. I'm the founder of IOD Nations, International Online Democratic Nations.org. If you visit our website, we have the book that I wrote, The Recipe. If you could tap your screen 3 times to save Ukraine and democracy, would you do it? And we have the Meritocracy Manifesto. So either one of those or visiting our website can inform you a lot. On our website, we have a beta version of how online citizen-led democracy can function. So in Taiwan, they have integrated it. They had a rebellion in 2014 called the Sunflower Rebellion, and at that time, the government of Taiwan had an approval rating from the citizens of Taiwan of 9%. And today, after integrating this online portal, they are now up to a 70% approval rating. And they have 50% of the citizens of Taiwan are registered online in this online portal, and they collaborate, recommend, research, and educate their citizenry, and they do it in a way that is integrated with their government. And that's why they've achieved a 70% approval rating of their government. And we believe that every nation in the world is going to end up doing that. And we believe that those nations can all turn, in essence, think of it like turning their face. And instead of all of these citizens being online facing their government and what they want their individual government to do for them and how it should function, because they're online, they can simply turn and face towards the internet and towards the whole world. And we can all unite online as democratic citizens and develop international strategies and tactics to implement and impose freedom and democracy across the world to as many people as possible. And we're here to make that happen. And you'll see some content that we will share. There's going to be a bunch of stuff, but most of all, you'll see an email address in the comments here. And this is where you can email us and let us know that you would like to be a part of this team, much like Peter did. Peter's from Canada. He's retired. I believe retired or semi-retired. And he's watching what's going on in the world. He's watching what has happened to Canada. And he realized that he wanted to do something, but he hadn't found a way that he could. And when he found us, he said, I want to help. I believe in what you're doing. I buy into the idea of people uniting online. So how can I help make that happen? And we're going to, hey, Draco or Rakesh, whoever's here, can you guys pull up the Matrix video? This is, to me, this is just so hilarious because Peter is Peter's a fanboy, okay? And Peter's a fanboy of the Matrix. Is it movie or movies? How many of them are there, Peter? Is it just one? You're on mute.
There's three,
No, it's a
three, three.
trilogy.
Okay. And tell us when you watched this video that we're going to play and you related it to online democratic nations. Tell people like what that felt like for you. How did you see that?
Well, it was kind of surreal, surreal. I mean, when I compared the concept is simple, but the evolution or the work involved is like the Matrix. I mean, you're trying to get so many people together and working together on the same concept, the same idea. And The Matrix just came in my popped in my head, and it's one of my favorite movies. And like I said, I must have watched it about 50 times now. So when I mentioned that, and then you came up with, well, we have a movie we put together, and I saw the movie we're about to watch. The joining of minds was not an accident.
How cool is that? Okay. So let's see okay, so here we go. This is our Matrix video about IOD nations.
This is our construct. A planet of continents, of land and borders. At least, that's what previous generations believe. This is our real construct. The trad world is now subservient to our virtual world. Welcome to the real world, Neo. A brave new international online democratic world. Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy, because Elon is about to go bye-bye.
So, we do not access the internet. We filter their access to us. We are the internet. Holy shit, we can save Zelensky and Ukraine.
When the world's youth and others unite online, freedom, democracy, and the world's pro-democracy citizens will now rule the world. All that must occur is for people to send an email to NATO. Those emails comprise their online citizenship.
Could they save world democracy?
Once united online, by the millions, we are the cure.
So, international online democracy is the new construct.
If they build it, I will come.
So you're here to save the world.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
Okay, no, guys, we can cut that. That's the general idea, everybody. We'll show you another video in a few minutes when we get a few more people in here for those who haven't been here. But the internet is a new matrix, right? When Al Gore invented the internet, roughly a little over 30 years ago, and we all know Al Gore invented the internet, right? When he did that, it created a new matrix. And every part of our lives, our businesses, our politics, our religion, right? You have online sermons and services and all of that. Our society, we interact with everybody. We live together online. We're doing it right now. We are an online community. You are here today to collaborate with us, iodnations.org, as an online entity, an online community. But the only major, well, I won't say the only one, but the most important major collaboration that is not happening online right now is the pro-democracy citizens of the world. We are allowing, we're not just allowing, way to be here, Pamela. You're not late. Debbie Gal, welcome. We are not allowing the wealthy and powerful to obtain dominion on us, over us on the internet. We're actually paying them to do it. We're shopping with them. We're sharing their advertising, right? We're sharing their messaging. We are the ones who are doing this to ourselves because it doesn't have to be that way, right? The kind of the motto or the phrase that I came up with that distills this to its fundamental element is this: if a business no longer requires brick and mortar, then a nation no longer requires land and borders. Okay? So everyone who's here, imagine if I asked you right now, let's imagine that you came into this live chat right now, and there were 1 million women here from all over the world who were united online, and they were founding and establishing the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. Okay? So, Jill, if you could tap your screen and become a citizen, request citizenship with 1 million other women across the world in the International Online Democratic Women's Nation, the IOD Women's Nation, would you do that? Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to join with those women online democratically and finally give women a world-changing, powerful, and influential presence and voice, right? Why wouldn't you do that? And Jill says 100%. She would do it immediately. Okay? Well, the journey of 1,000 steps, or the journey of 1,000 clicks, or the journey of 1 million clicks begins with 1 click. Okay? That's all that has to happen here. If you're sitting here right now, you just simply, me, thank you so much. Thank you for thinking that way, right? All you have to do is go to our website and click your mouse and say you'd like to work with us. Okay? So Joe asked the question, how are the trolls and bots filtered out? So I'll talk about that, Joe, from a micro standpoint, and I'll talk about it from a macro standpoint. And I'll start with the macro. In Taiwan, they've had this online governance system running for 11 or more years. Okay. Taiwan, if you don't know, is under monumental technological assault on all of their online presence. Their utility companies, their businesses, their citizens, they're all being attacked all of the time. I forget what the number was, but it's something in the neighborhood of millions of cyber attacks upon Taiwan on a daily basis. And they've solved it. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't any issues and that bots and bad actors can't get in and do things. And I'm certainly not saying that we're at anywhere near that level. But what I'm saying, Joe, is please consider your question from this standpoint. You can ask that question, and you're asking that question for everybody who's here, right? I'm not trying to just speak to you. I'm trying to speak to everyone here. because we're asking you to join in this movement, okay? You can ask that question from a standpoint that says, I'm scared. I'm worried. I don't think I'm ready to be a part of this because there's bots and bad actors out there, and that bothers me. Or that question can be asked from this standpoint. I love the idea of organizing online with the pro-democracy citizens of the world. And I think I'd really like to be a part of or learn more about how you're going to address trolls and bots and bad actors. Okay. We've had a really wonderful time in our live feeds where up to this point, we really haven't been trolled too much. Joe, I know, and I can't provide you 100% assurance that nothing's ever going to happen. But what I can tell you is our ability to combat that is directly related to how many people we get in here working on this, and how quickly. Okay, and that's that's where we are. That's what we need to do if we're going to unite online and do something about this. So, Joe, I really, really appreciate um, your being involved here and engaging with us and talking to us in the chat. And Pamela just said something. Honest question. Why wouldn't I? Question mark. Just being cautious. It's a major commitment to me. So, Pamela, I'm not quite sure. I think I understand your question. I think you're saying, why wouldn't you become a part of IOD Nations? You're being cautious and it's a major commitment. So let me ask you, how do you define a major commitment? Okay. If we were asking you to spend 20 minutes a week sending some emails, is that something that you consider a major commitment? So I'm just trying to work through that and understand how to better address your question for you and for the group. And so as I'm waiting for you to type a response, this is the point that I would like to make to everyone that's here. We could use someone who knows how to cut videos. So in other words, this show is going to be done after today, and it's going to be a long video. And we every week, right now we've been doing 3 shows a week. We need to go in, cut segments out of those videos, turn them into powerful moments that create a short message, okay, and get them out to people. And so if we can get somebody to help do that who can spend, you know, uh, an hour or 3 hours or whatever a week reviewing videos and cutting the clips, then that frees Draco up to make video content. So that's the kind of thing we're looking for. And so Pamela commented, she said, time-wise, yes, it is. So Pamela's not in a position where she has, 15 or 20 minutes a week available to send emails. That's okay, Pamela. You can just be somebody who watches, right? Maybe this isn't for you, but maybe someday along the line there will be some campaign that we're doing and you have a few spare minutes and you jump in, participate on that, because we've made it viable online. And so you might not be the best person to volunteer and come work on it right now. So let's see what Joe said. So for example, I have a net security engineer best friend from a university who could give an hour or two a week to help with security. My God, Joe. Oh my God. I cannot explain to you what that means to us, right? This is an issue that we're working on right now. Nosib, who does work from us, I have a team from Bangladesh who are working for me, but they're working for freedom and democracy, okay? And Nosib spent, I don't know exactly, but I bet you in the last 2 days, he spent 10 hours or more working on all of this stuff that we could have been spent doing on outreach. And so that that person who can help with that frees us up to do an email outreach campaign, to do a training session for people to do social media outreach. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So, what we're going to do right now, I'm going to show you the campaign that I want to get launched, that I have to get these videos done to get this out. So, Draco, can you play the last video of just not with my comments, just with Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah speaking. Can you let me know when you have that clip? And I want to share that with everybody here. And I want to talk about this outreach campaign that I want to work on and that I think everybody here would really enjoy working on. So, what you're going to see in this is a Simon Sinek, who I use in a number of different ways in our shows. I use his videos. Um, he's speaking with Trevor Noah, and they are talking about how human beings collaborate. Okay. And specifically they're talking about, because Trevor grew up in South Africa in Soweto, these um, impoverished communities that he grew up in are really tightly woven together, where they help raise each other's kids, and they watch each other's homes, and they help get each other to the doctor, and they collaborate, and they're unified, and they work together, even though they may have political differences. They may have young kids who are out partying and driving up and down the streets, raising hell, and old people who just want to go to bed early. But they're these constraints, the constraints that they are stuck living in this community together. Those constraints create an environment where human beings collaborate better within those. Um, Terry, Terry, oh my God, from Australia. Um, Tim Minchin is now perhaps my favorite artist in the whole world. So I don't know if you follow him, but I actually have a song that I just found of his recently, um, that we're going to play. So Debbie Gal asks, how long has this movement IOD been going on? I came up with the concept of online citizen-led democracy over 10 years ago, and I've been trying to put it out there, but I was too much of a coward to put my face on it, Debbie Gale. And without putting your face on it, it's hard to get people to listen and pay attention. And so with how crazy everything got at the first of the year, I decided that I wouldn't stay a coward any longer. And I made a New Year's resolution that I would put myself out here, and we chose to do it through Substack. And I would stay here and keep talking about online citizen-led democracy until it becomes a worldwide discussion. And that's why you're here. We have over 200 people now who have said they'd like to volunteer, and we're trying to get campaigns moving on a consistent, regular basis to email. And that's why we're seeking volunteers. We're in this quagmire, but we're in this opportunity where we're bringing new people into these lives every week, but we're not doing a good job of unifying them to collaborate and volunteer and work together. And that's what's about to change. So Draco's going to go ahead and play a video for you of Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah talking about how humans collaborate and work together. Go ahead and hit it, Draco.
Cases, there's some sort of hardship that in all of your plane crash example, Soweto example. So it's like as hardship is relieved, and choice is a relief of hardship, then for some reason our ability to cooperate and put up with each other seems to go down.
So I will agree with one part of it. I still come back to, I don't even think it's hardship. I think it's just the constraining factor. Here's why I say this. Let's say there is an island of mega rich people, and they go hang out together, and they're on this mega rich island, and they do whatever they want to do, right? It's the mega rich. They're having a great time. If they are confined or constrained in some way, they will find the same thing, and they do find it temporarily. So if you've maybe been to them, I've visited them on occasion, but you get these places where people go to these like golf resorts, and it's like, wow, what is this place? And in that place, I have found people have a different level of community, a different level of enjoyment, a different level of, it's like people buzzing around on golf carts and people meeting, and there's only the 4 restaurants, and all you can do is choose from one of the 4. And so you just rotate. Yeah, we'll do the Spanish place on Monday, and then we always love doing the Italian place on Wednesdays, and
I'll have the eggs again. Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're constrained. So there's this weird thing that happens. I even think about it for my life as I go, the great curse is going to be the choice. The great curse is going to be knowing that you can choose. So how do you create artificial like constraint for yourself to help yourself? Because I don't think it's about hardship at all. I think you can have a good time together.
It's constraint.
But if you cannot like change the people or the situation, it changes your ability to appreciate or get along with the change or the situation.
So there's a story about a shoe salesman in Los Angeles in the 1950s.
This is an amazing story.
But he was a very successful entrepreneur who owned a whole bunch of women's shoe stores.
Yeah.
And a journalist asked him, "What's your secret?" And he said, 2, not 3. And they're like, "What do you mean?" He goes, if a woman comes into my store, I'll bring her a pair of shoes. She'll try them on. And she'll say, "Could I see that pair, please?" And I'll bring her a second pair of shoes. And she said, "Could I also see that pair, please?" And he'll say, "Which one would you like me to take away?"
Oh.
Because what he found is when they had a choice of 3, they bought none. And when they had a choice of 2, they bought 1.
Ah, I love that.
Right? 2, not 3. And
can you pause that, Draco?
Oh man.
So if you go to our website, iodnations.org, there's what I call the Meritocracy Manifesto. And the Meritocracy Manifesto is a question and answer where I created the questions for AI about online citizen-led democracy. Like, how could it work? Why should it work? What is the power and potential of it once it happens and once it works? And the very beginning of that manifesto deals with exactly this question. there are only two ways that human beings collaborate. Okay. Right now, for instance, I collaborate with Peter, Draco, Rakesh, Nosib, primarily. We're the ones who are holding this flame up to the world that says, let's light the fire of online citizen-led democracy. We are primarily authoritarian in nature as we function. Now, if you were to ask those guys, I think you would find that in most situations, I ask for their opinions and we discuss things. But when it comes down to it, I'm the authoritarian and I make the decisions. And that's because we don't actually have a democratic process set in place. And what we're working on is so new that the boundaries and the guidelines and the understanding of it is pretty broad, and it's a bit challenging to define it. Okay. Now, we could be solely democratic, and nothing is ever really solely one way or the other, but primarily your two shoes that you have to choose from right now is you get to choose from a world and an internet, an online presence that is led by those powers and forces which are primarily authoritarian. Okay. Facebook, TikTok, the presence of North Korea, the presence of Russia and China, all the influences that they're having, X, those are all authoritarian entities. And they are all gaining more and more power and influence over us and over the internet. But there's a second choice. You can choose to take your mouse and click it and go unite with and attract a bunch of other people to unite online democratically. And if you do that, now you've chosen a more free and democratic world as your choice of the two pairs of shoes. Because that binary choice, that constraint, we don't get to manufacture that one. It is the root of human nature. From the day of tribes, when a chief would say, you go hunt, okay? And if he's the chief of the tribe and your tribe is set up that way, you get off your ass and you go hunt for the tribe. Or in the instance of the Iroquois Nation in the United States, before we white people came in and screwed it up, they had the Iroquois Grandmothers Council. And the Iroquois Grandmothers Council functioned in a democratic way, and they made decisions like who was going to go hunt, where would their encampment move for the hunting. Everything that had to do with their society and their camp, those decisions were made by the Iroquois grandmothers, okay? And how to fight a war, which warriors were going to go into war and which ones would protect the encampment and all that, those decisions were made by the men, okay? But there was this methodology that made it more inclusive and primarily democratic, with a lot of people having involvement in it. And what we're saying to you is we live at a moment where we can do that at the click of a mouse. And so I'm going to have, hey, Draco, let's pull up the video with Planet Earth. But before you play it, Peter, I'm dominating all of this. So you've come in and you've listened to this before, and you're a part of it. Is there anything new about that, or is there like a journey that you're on where, like, how did you initially see IOD Nations and how do you see it now? What are your thoughts before we play that clip? You're on mute.
Still getting used to Zoom. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, we can hear you
uh,
now.
okay. Well, I'm still getting used to Zoom, guys. Forgive me for that. I'm just as excited now, Joel, as I was when I first listened to your address there about IOD nations. And I was thinking about, how do I look at this? And we have, we're always shown one way to look at this, like the umbrella kind of uh, visual, that we are the umbrella. But I figured, to me, I just changed my thought pattern. And I said, we're like planets, where you have one group, one planet, and I, I think what we're trying to create is this network in between all those planets, that those planets now can work together, and that's my visual now. So it's like a network of democratic, like-minded people, millions and millions, perhaps billions. Let's think big about this one. And what these little planets did, what these other planets didn't have now, is a way to communicate in groups with each other. And if I'm not, I think that's the way I'm looking at it now. I hope I'm close enough. I can't I can't hear you now.
So you kind of see it now where, for instance, the citizens of Canada could unite online like the citizens of Taiwan have done, and that would be the planet of online democratic Canada, led by the citizens of Canada, right? They're their own governance. They can set up their own constitution online, they can set up their own elections online. They're like this parallel governance to the traditional government, right? And so that online Canada, or online democratic Canada, because we're not the the filter that we're going to put up is you don't get access to us, or your access is filtered on the internet if you're not democratic, right? But um you and I talked yesterday about, we're both cyclists, right? And we could become citizens of the International Online Democratic Cyclists Nation, okay? And we could begin sharing the laws and the bike lanes and all of these different things on how they're implemented across the world for the benefit of cyclists in every land and borders-based nation in the world. And that could be one of the groups that we join, and that we want to promote and support. And we believe that cycling leads to a healthier, happier um, lifestyle, right? And so that's the kind of planet that you're referring to. Okay. Um, let's do this. Let's have so we're going to have Rakesh play the rules, and then we're going to I'll go into a couple of things that I have on the agenda, and then we'll move forward. So Rakesh, can you go ahead and play those rules?
Okay,
And
hang
this is
on.
how we want to interact. Everybody who's here, you're invited to come into our feed. We don't charge you to comment. We don't charge you to come in and speak. We're here to engage you and help us all figure out how to work together democratically.
Welcome to IOD Nations Live. Before we get started, Here are a few ground rules that keep this space safe, respectful, and powerful for everyone. Number 1, respect every participant. No exceptions. Number 2, raise your hand in Zoom before speaking. Wait for the host to call on you. Number 3, mute yourself when you are not speaking. Number 4, one person speaks at a time. No interrupting. Number 5, stay on topic. Keep it relevant. Number 6, no hate speech. No harmful language, 0 tolerance. Number 7, hosts have final authority. If they step in, that decision is final. And number 8, come with good faith. We are all here for the same reason, to build citizen-led democracy together. These rules exist to protect every voice in this room. Respect them, and let's build something extraordinary together. Welcome to IOD Nations. Welcome to IOD.
Okay, so for those of you who are here, Debbie Gale just made a comment. She said, the only time I've experienced the feeling of empowerment through community was in the women's music era in the late 70s and 80s, a spontaneous development in the US and Canada of singer-songwriters who performed in public concerts, founded recording studios, created festivals. So feminists have preceded you, but the movement only lasted 15 years and still constitutes a bond among those who participated in it. We spread the word of women and gay liberation through the language of music. So what is the unifying vision, direct democracy of your movement? So Debbie Gale, here's the unifying. I mean, you could not have picked a better example. Peter's a musician. Peter can become a citizen of the International Online Democratic Art Nation. Okay? And the International Online Democratic Art Nation decides that they're done with music sharing platforms that are ripping off the artists. And so they put together a proposal for a new music sharing platform to replace the ones that are screwing the artists. Okay. But I use art as the macro, the big umbrella like Peter talked about, or the planet is the art planet or the art nation. Okay. But within that, the musicians can have their own nation. And off to the side, Debbie Gale could put together an email campaign to these women, these singer-songwriters who did this during the 70s and 80s, and ask them if they would like to become citizens of the International Online Democratic Art Nation and the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. Okay? So now, if Debbie Gale is a musician or an artist and a woman, and she's a citizen of both of those nations, now she is binding those nations together. The more Debbie Gales there are, the more likely we are for 1 billion women who are united online democratically to unite with 1 million artists from across the world who are united online democratically. And Debbie Gale can put up a suggestion that says every uh, uh, the combined income from the music streaming platform should donate 5% of its proceeds to other art forms of citizens of the International Online Democratic Art Nation. And Debbie Gale could put that proposal up, and if that proposal immediately gets 5,000 supporters, then the citizen-led governance of those two nations or of the art nation, they vote on it and they determine if they want that to happen. And so when they set up the payment structure for their online music sharing platform, they make sure that happens. And so now, and maybe a portion of those funds go to the overall pro-democracy movement. And so the women and the artists know that every time they purchase music or they pay for their subscription on that platform, it's benefiting women, it's benefiting other forms of art besides music, it's benefiting the economically benefiting the musicians who create that art. And we're at a point right now where that online platform, you can go into Claude and ask Claude AI to create an online portal and platform and write the code for it that mimics music sharing platforms. And you could be there within a week or two, who knows? And so, Debbie Gale, that's the point of all of this, is that once we unite online, it allows all of these different things to happen, right? That is the matrix that Peter's talking about. Those are the planets that are out there in this online environment that get to collaborate. And nobody's talking about it, right? The other day I went to 50 Substacks, and they have way more people there than we have, and not one of them had a collaborative idea on how we could work together to promote freedom and democracy across the world. Why not? We live in the age of the internet. Why aren't we using the internet for freedom and democracy? So I hope that long-winded diatribe answered some of your questions. So here's our pitch. Okay. We are going to do an email campaign to Trevor Noah. Jill, this one's for you. We're going to create an email campaign for Simon Sinek. I believe his name is Stephen Bartlett. He has a podcast based in the UK. If you guys haven't watched it, he covers topics that will blow your mind. And he is very, very successful. Okay. And Simon Sinek, at the end of their podcast, left his 3 desires that he wanted his legacy in the world to be. He wanted it to be police reform. He is heavily involved. This is Simon Sinek. He's heavily involved in learning about policing in the United States and what different ways of police reform could represent. That was one of his desires that he leaves the world with. The other one is better systems of what modern business could look like. Well, I'll tell you what, that modern business platform where musicians run their own music sharing platforms and they do it in a pro-democratic way where the musicians and other artists benefit, I would call that a new way that what modern business could look like. And then the third thing he said was inspire a safe and fulfilled world. Okay. And if you listen to their shows and what they talk about, a safe and fulfilled world does not come from seeking happiness. A safe and fulfilled world comes from doing good for others. And that's what they were talking about in the interview in the podcast about constraint and Soweto and why these poor people are always so much happier than other people, or at least as happy despite their circumstances. And it comes from doing something that matters, doing something that makes a difference, doing something that improves other people's lives. And so we're going to put together an email campaign to them and to Trevor Noah, and we're going to try and get them to engage with us on how online citizen-led democracy can help Simon Sinek achieve his lifelong goals and objectives. And I believe it'll blow his mind. And we would like you to help us with that campaign. And we would like Jill, we would like you to help Jill. If you don't know Jill, Jill has been with us for a couple weeks, spelled Gill, Jill Baxter. Okay. Jill is disabled and lives in England. And the only way, not the only way, but almost exclusively the primary way that she deals with the world is online because of her disability, right? Can you imagine what it would feel like for Jill if all of us in this group united online to help her establish the international online democratic disabled nation, right? Can you imagine a powerful and influential force for disabled people that is united online democratically? That's possible. That disabled planet that Peter talked about is out there, and all we have to do is tap our mice or click our mice or tap our screens in unison and unite, and we can make that happen. So here's where we are. We sent out an email to the roughly 200 plus people who said they would volunteer or they were interested in working on this. Okay. And in that email, we talked about several things from email writing, from communications within the volunteers, how to coordinate and keep that moving. We talked about the integration of our web portal. You can go to our website, iodnations.org, and you can submit. Jill could submit it and say she could go in there, or we could do it with her or for her. We're just overwhelmed, right? There's so many things we want to do. But just imagine if a bunch of you come in and say, we want to work with Jill on this, and we want to help the disabled people of the world, and we want to create an email campaign for them that helps them understand that they can unite online democratically. What a legacy to leave in this world that we help make that happen, right? What a legacy if a month from now there's a billion women united online because we reached out to Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah and Stephen Bartlett, okay, and Tim Minchin, and they decided they wanted to be a part of this and helped make it happen, and it just freaking explodes. That's where we are. That's why we're asking for your assistance. And Jill said, we don't get to march, we get to watch. Here's the march, Jill. Everyone who's here, their march is, instead of having to pack up their cars and go to one place and wave signs and do all of that, we can do it all online with you. And we want to do that with you. And we're going to do that with you. We are going to make this happen, Jill. If you don't know, the video that we're working on that has Stephen Bartlett in it is going to be geared directly for the English. Okay. We met a man online, Dan, the other day. He's from England. He's got some connections. He knows an MP, and his brother works, from what I understand, quite high up with the Democratic Party of Great Britain or England. And we're creating a message specifically for them and for Stephen Bartlett about England to try and get people in England talking about this. And I think you're really going to like the message. Jill, how would you like to do a part of that message? Would you like to do an audio for that and tell people what you've experienced here and what it might mean to you? Okay, so right here, what you're witnessing is Jill is saying, great. She wants to be a part of that email outreach that we're going to do, and we're going to gear it towards the world, but also towards Great Britain, with hopefully with the idea of getting it there. And so what's involved in that, we've got to construct those emails. We've got to complete those videos. We've got to get Jill on camera. Okay. We've got to get her audio recorded. We've got to make it look decent. And then we get it. And then we need a bunch of people to email it. And that's what we're trying to do there. That's what we're trying to do with Canada. Okay. We've got email contact lists of people we need to contact in Canada. Okay. We need help coordinating that and making it happen. And it's not that much time. Hopefully some of you have a few hours a week that you could volunteer and participate in. But if not, you could come in and just on the day of sending the emails, you could spend 10 or 15 minutes sending the emails that are promoting online citizen-led democracy across Canada. And then you could look at that and say, oh my gosh, Jill's looking for hair and makeup in England. If anybody wants to volunteer, that's another volunteer that we need. So is there anyone who would like to come in and speak? I'm going to invite Greg, the trajectory, to step in. So Greg, raise your hand so that Peter can see it and he can invite you in. Let's start working on doing this the right way. So put your mic on mute.
Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, we'll just do it. Come on in.
Okay.
So Greg, what's going on, man?
So you can hear me. You can hear me, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, hey. I hope everybody's
speak to the world.
Okay. I think what we should do now is we have a small number of people. If they have any interest at all, I think everybody should just say they're interested or they're not sure yet. And you could do that by just saying, who's with us so far? And they could just write yes in the comments and we could move forward.
Okay.
So I invite you to write yes, maybe, or no in the comments.
Greg?
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I'm curious to elaborate on the. I don't think everybody understands the concept yet. I mean, so maybe people need a bit longer to hear it, and I don't think we can. Well, I don't think we can control or get people in different rooms, like different levels.
How many people are in here right now?
Almost 100. We're at 95. Now, we don't know if everyone has stayed, but I think most people stay. But it's hard to get people to comment.
Greg?
On my screen, on my laptop, I'm showing 8 participants.
Okay, so you are in the Zoom feed, and I am primarily watching the Substack feed. So our Substack feed is where the majority of the people are watching and participating.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I was on the Substack feed earlier and asked for a Zoom link. So yeah, I'm on Zoom. I still think it would be a good idea that if people have watched the whole presentation so far or have been here for the entire presentation today or have been in previous presentations, that I think we're to the point right now where people could at least offer, yes, I'm in, maybe I'm in, or I'm not really interested.
Yep.
And we would appreciate that if you could put yes, maybe, or absolutely not in the comments so we know where we stand.
It and Greg, I'm totally in alignment with you, and I've tried doing that before, and I do in a way do it. The challenge I've got, and maybe somebody in the audience, in the live chat can comment on this. So we can go here and I can go push a bunch of hearts, and actually we would encourage you to do that if you can, or if we say something inspiring, because all of that kind of activity elevates us in the on the internet, and it gets us more. It works with the algorithms, okay? But what I found, Greg, is that most people, they don't really want to type something. They, most of them don't participate. Now we do get emails when we ask for them, but not as many as I thought we would do that, as we would get. Okay. But
Can I interrupt
ultimately,
a minute?
yeah,
Can
please
I
do.
interrupt you a minute?
Yeah.
Listen, you mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast that you had a problem with email and that you might have been hacked. And my question is when is all that going to be resolved?
We think it's resolved now. We got it back up. It appears it may have caused us a little hiccup in getting Substack up and running today. Rakesh, what do you think? Do we have it resolved?
Yeah, it has been taken care of.
Okay. And
The
I
reason I
don't know
mention
if you
that,
saw it. Go
the
ahead.
reason I mention that is because when you mentioned that you were hacked, you might have put the fear of God into people like, I don't want to touch this website because it's been hacked. So I think maybe to reassure people that everything's okay now, so that if they receive an email from you now, they're not going to get a virus.
Yeah. We don't so that's an interesting point. So our website didn't get hacked. Our one email address got hacked. We have resolved that. We um, we will not send you a link to something unless um, it is already, for instance, on YouTube. So we won't send you something that you could open up and get a virus to. We will only send you stuff that is either in a text format in an email, or it will be in a audio or a video format that is not a file that could infect you. It will already be something that's posted on the internet. It's out in public. People are looking at it, and you won't have to worry about that. So if you're
Okay,
concerned about
I
that
feel a
kind of
little better
thing,
about that now. I feel a little better about
and
that now.
go ahead.
However, I just want to let you know that as a participant, I haven't received any emails from IOD Nations as of yet where I've got an email where it's been formatted where I can either call a representative or a celebrity or anybody else to let them know what our particular current day, current time campaign is. I think what I want to know is what campaigns are we going to focus on the emails or phone calls, and how can we get the ball rolling on this? Because in my
Yep.
estimation, this has taken longer than it should.
Way too long. Yeah. So let me, and I'll address that for everyone who's here, because Greg is 100% correct. We made a big push for for an extended period of time working with a group of women who were collaborating online. And we did some emails to the Epstein victims, and with us, that has fizzled out. They may be doing some other things on their own, but they're not doing it with IOD Nations. And so there was a lot of time and money and effort that was invested in that has not come to fruition. And we were trying to get other email campaigns going, but the focus was on the email campaigns to the Epstein victims. And so we've really come back and regrouped. And that's where we are right now, and that's where you are. So, Greg, the two primary campaigns that we are working on right now are going to be the campaign with Peter to Canadians. It's going to be the campaign that I'm putting together for outreach to the influencers, which is going to be Simon Sinek, Trevor Noah, Tim Minchin, and Stephen Bartlett. Okay. Now, we have other campaigns that could begin moving if we have the volunteers. For instance, Jill Baxter. If we can get a couple people to come in and work with that, we have connections and we have the potential of moving this forward in Great Britain. Okay. But the problem that we have, Greg, is I'm working with, Peter in Canada, Draco, Rakesh, and Nosib and the guys in Bangladesh, and I'm here, and I've also got my business that I have to run. And so the amount of time that we have available to really coordinate all of this, we've spent a lot of that time. Some of it got distracted earlier, and we've got to get the focus, and we need some help with that. And so that would be one where I would say to you, is there a campaign that you're interested in working on, Greg? Would you be available to come in and work with Peter on his campaign? And then also, I need to get you to touch base with Rakesh and Draco and find out. I guess you said you haven't received an email with a specific campaign in it. Did you receive the email from us about collaborating online and the needs list and the volunteers? Did you get that one today?
Everything that I've received from IOD Nations, including posts by Rakesh or Draco, so forth. And there's been a number of those, okay, where they were articles or they were invites to IOD Nations. I sent hundreds of emails out inviting people to IOD Nations and regarding a number of issues. But the main issue that I've been working on is I want the Epstein files, and I want them open, and I want the perps that are redacted to be unredacted. And I've been working somewhat tangentially with Lev, except I haven't been able to get enough response from him because he's so busy. But I've been working individually to sometimes without even him knowing, in that campaign to try to contact people in Washington, representatives, or celebrities or anybody else that I might have an email address for. And I'm trying to get my efforts are concentrated on, I think the number one issue right now here domestically, which will eventually open up to the world, is Zev Shalev has connected all the dots in Epstein files, and that's not only here domestically but also worldwide. All the people involved, all the possible perpetrators that might be involved, regardless of their status, and he's connected all the dots. And there's another site known as This Will Hold, and he has connected all the dots regarding recent elections and so forth, where the voting machine companies that are owned by Republicans, and all these voting machines are owned by companies that are basically Republican led boards. So it's my belief that not only does the Epstein files connect to sexual abuse and sexual trafficking, but I think it also goes back, because of the research that I've done, that it all connects to recent financial crises where they've actually pilfered our system by, crashing a stock market or crashing the housing market. It all goes back to the dot-com bubble. It goes back to the housing crisis.
Yep.
This guy and all his connections have basically messed up the whole world. And it's
So
been done by
Greg, let me.
probably a handful of people. So that's what I'm involved in, and that's what I want to break into, and I want to bring these
Okay.
expletives down. I want them to pay for
So
what
let me
they've
give you
done
an
to the world.
example.
Hey, Joel, Jill raised her hand, and also we have Chardonnay in the Zoom call. So let's welcome them. And
Absolutely. Get them in here. This is what we need.
hey, Jill, can you unmute and come forward?
Hi everyone. I think, I don't know, Greg, but I think maybe you're sort of trying to get, and I've sort of in a way felt the same. So because we're trying to reach such a large audience, when you're coming into the meetings now, if you've been with them sort of relatively from the start, you're hearing a lot of the same information. And I think what you're saying, Greg, is when does the action follow? And I think that's really difficult because of as Joel was explaining, time constraints and so on. And I don't know. It's only an idea. But I know Joel's doing, and Joel's and the guys are doing 3 of these a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and that's a huge amount of time that's being dedicated. And I didn't know if maybe that goes now to twice a week, but the algorithms, Joel, of how this works more effectively as the guys do. And then there's maybe that third meeting that starts that action plan, because as Greg's saying about the Epstein files, but obviously the Epstein files is also coming up a lot in Suffragette Saturdays. So we don't want maybe 2 streams of work doing the same work in 2 different areas, which I think in a way goes back to what Peter was saying, although I'm never quite forgiving him for saying, he's got British roots, so he'll have to be forgiven. But, I'm letting that go. It was only 2 weeks ago and it's still in my head, but, I'm letting it go slowly, Peter.
Your king did very well.
He did actually, and I was so angry. I was so angry they were going, but I think what he delivered, and actually, I know people were saying that would have been written for him. Yeah, some of it, but he's watched his mother from, who learned that. He's been taught that, and he is actually quite a profound thinking, grounded man in that way, and he's highly intelligent. And I think he managed to deliver some very powerful messages without pointing a finger. But, it was very easy to read between those lines. And I think you're absolutely right. I was quite impacted by what he said. I still don't agree. I think Camilla should have gone and spoken to survivors, or at least listened to them, and done a gesture in that respect. But beyond that, um, but I also sort of, I think I get where Greg is coming from. I may be wrong, Greg. Sorry, but I just sort of wondered if that's maybe some of the. I want to get going on this, but I don't quite know how that's happening or when that might happen. But then also, there's also that obviously extended reach that needs to keep happening to draw in the people that can do the things that some can't. So uh, I don't know. It was just sort of thinking some of that through a little more, and maybe how that happens, because the commitment that Joel and the guys are making is just astronomical. You know, and it, I think we need to be really careful with that time and use it very wisely, um, because they'll do anything for anybody at any time. And I think sometimes, or it's getting to a point where some of us have been on this journey a little bit now, and you know, maybe there is now that space, or one out of the 3 sessions, maybe one's a bit shorter and breaks off into an action group straight from it. So you do an invite, etc., but then we move, you know, for the second part into an action group. Those that want to stay, those that need a bit more time, can come back at the next general type meeting. I don't know. I mean, obviously, Joel, this is absolutely your baby and you know it inside out. And I know it's a democracy and I know what you're going to say, but I also know how much you've put behind this and how much your heart and soul is in this. And the same with the guys who go, you know, above and beyond. Akwash, Rakesh, and Draco, who just bust their guts at every moment. And I think, you know, like we were saying, this is a marathon. It's not a race, and we need to be wise with that time. So I shall now be quiet. But that was really, but yeah, you and me, Peter, still gonna have words, but you know.
Okay, so I'm
Looking
gonna
forward to it. Looking forward to it.
I want to try and address a few things there within 3 minutes. Um, Whatever was happening on Saturdays is not happening in association with us at all anymore.
Oh,
Okay, so that's
okay,
one thing.
okay.
The So in response to Greg, what I would say is this, and it'll be to all of you. We may go down to 2 a week. We would do 3 a week if we had contributors or volunteers or whatever word we can come up with that works better. We just did one on Wednesday that we did in the evening to try a different time. So we're playing around with that, but we are caught between trying to bring in people and keep the message of what we're trying to accomplish out there and then begin to work. And so to Greg, what I would say is the Epstein file type email campaign fell to the wayside. We are completely ready. We have email addresses. I've got some really badass email templates that have already been written that could go out, and there's a way to I've put together one to target Victoria's Secret. The question is, will anyone come in and work behind the scenes? Right now, one way that I envision this needs to happen is there should be a group of us that is working behind the scenes right now, creating emails, sending out the campaigns, doing the communications with the people that are working with us. And it just needs a few people. Okay. But I don't have the time to finish this call, do a breakdown call with Peter and the guys just to talk about what we did, where we're going, and that kind of stuff. Edit and create a couple of emails, review the email lists, determine how we're going to send them out. What artwork can we include it? Can we get a video in with it that talks about IOD nations? All of these things are involved in that campaign to make it happen. And that's the reason why we sent out the help wanted volunteer contributor email. Is we want to do an email campaign about the Epstein victims, but we need some people who want to do it. We just can't do them all. And so that's where we are. I want those things happening. I expected they would be happening way earlier. I'm disappointed at where we are. So I'll leave that at that. And we're going to let Peter's going to go ahead and run this and keep everybody going.
I saw Shadow Knight raised her hand. So let's welcome her. Hey, Shadow Knight. Thanks a lot for the time and effort you are putting in this movement, and we are so glad you are here. So let's unmute your mic and tell us about yourself and how do you find Arab nations?
Hi. I am so happy to find all of you and to find the IOD Nation. I have been looking for you without knowing that you're there. I knew that something was needed since January 1st, 1984. I knew something needed to be there. January 1st, 1984, my heart stopped for 56 minutes and I was in a coma for 20 hours after that. When I came back, I had lost 33 years of memories. But I looked around and the first things I remember was Tiananmen Square. And I was sobbing in front of the television. And my husband came in from the other room. I had to be introduced to him because I didn't know who he was. But we had gotten to know each other. And he came over and he sat beside me and he said, "Why are you sobbing? What's the matter?" And he held me. And I just kept crying. I had the mind of a 4-year-old. And I kept crying and pointing to the television. And I kept saying, "What are they doing? Why? They learned everything that I just learned on the other side. They know that they're the same. They know that they have, there's no reason to hate. There's no reason to do this. Why are they killing each other? There's just have to, all I have to do is understand each other and listen to each other. All I have to do is hear what the other ones are saying, and that's all." And he said, I just kept sobbing. I said, "Look," I said, "how can they tell who they think the bad guy is? They look the same. I mean, there's no difference." And I kept saying, they know, they learned. And he just held me. And he said, "They learned, but they didn't remember. They don't remember what they learned." And I stopped sobbing. And I said, they have to be reminded what they learned. They have to be reminded. And so I wanted to remind people what they learned. That just because now here in the world, they made up imaginary borders. And so they made up maps and they can see these imaginary borders. There you don't see any borders. There you have, here you have clothes. There you have no clothes because you don't have any bodies. Here you have colors of people, so you can hate a color. I don't know why, but you can hate a color. There's no color, so you can't hate a color. There's all these little nitty picky reasons to hate people and to make yourself better than somebody else because somebody said, oh, this is a good reason for me to feel better. There, I don't like that color. Okay, that's a good reason. So for hundreds and thousands and millions of years, we can hate that color. Okay, fine. Whatever. And it just gets stronger and stronger because this works. But I knew there was a better reason. Have they played me off the stage?
Just a quick, just a little reminder, just a nudge.
Okay, so I could stop. But
But no, if I can interrupt, it's an amazing story. What attracted you to this particular IDO nations? What do we have, or what does this format have that you're looking for?
you don't see colors either. You don't see reasons to hate each other. You're seeing reasons to bring each other together. You're seeing, I love you because you're different. I don't hate you because you're different. I want to be your friend because you're different. I want to join forces with you because you're different, and your difference makes you special. Your difference, if I always think if the United States was white, and only we couldn't be American because the Native Americans, thank God, gave us some spices, but we wouldn't have the salt from the Indies. We wouldn't have, we wouldn't have all these wonderful, flavors from Mexico. We wouldn't, God, life would be very, very bland in the United States. But you see that we need the flavors. And together, by blending with the world, we're just making all of us, every part of the world, richer and more glorious. And how can that be a bad thing? You can't.
I can't argue about that. But that's a great, that's the dream. I think everybody has a dream like that. But it has to have a beginning, right? And perhaps IOD Nations is that particular beginning. I think Joel was talking earlier about bringing having this incredible movement of people, democracy minded. We're all like-minded in a democratic way, able to access millions upon millions of people who can make changes, and that's the concept. And
Exactly.
if you could join us in doing that in any particular way you're capable of, it'd be greatly appreciated.
I would love it. I would love it because something that, growing up here, I might not have thought of, but somebody growing up somewhere else sees it from a different angle and says, oh, I think if we approach it this way, oh my gosh, I never thought of approaching it that way. Please, yeah, let's try it. And we try that. And maybe it's 3/4 better. And somebody from somewhere else says, wait, I have that piece. I have that piece. Wait, let's try this piece. And together, we've put the whole puzzle together. But
We
we
can do
don't
many
know the
things.
pieces that are missing until we try putting the pieces together, and then we know that piece is missing.
Well, if you not haven't already, or perhaps just drop
She
your
has.
email. Okay.
I've been bugging him a lot.
And I think
I
I
started
think
bugging him from day one.
and I appreciate you jumping in like that, but I think Trajectory has his hand up if he's still around.
Yes, I will mute
I'm here.
myself.
I'm
Thank
here.
you.
I didn't fall asleep, believe me.
Okay.
I just typed in the chat, if we were all the same, we'd be bored to death. At least I would.
You and me both, Greg.
Is Jill still here? Can you see Jill on the screen anywhere? Well, anyway, if Jill's still listening, I think if we got somebody involved, let's say like Paul McCartney, or if somebody was still alive, like Muhammad Ali, a face that the whole world knows, right? Somebody that the whole world respects. Maybe somebody the whole world loves. And if we could somehow get through to one person like that, that shared similar personality, what their cares in life are. For example, Paul McCartney's a vegetarian. That doesn't make me one, but it tells me that he cares about animals, right? And if you care about animals, you're most likely going to care about people. And if you care about animals and people, you're probably going to care about what's happening with all the people that are connected with the Epstein files and are perpetrators in some way. These files have been redacted except to members of Congress. And I keep trying to figure out whether all the files have been really released or not. Is there really 3 million files? Is there 6 million files? Is there a billion files? But my point is the whole purpose of me getting involved with this is I want to not only either be able to look at those files or get them unredacted for people who care and find out who are the people that spent enough time with that guy or his associates after he was convicted. Okay, people that met him before he was convicted, you can't point a finger at them. But the people that anybody that was dealing with him or visiting his island, his apartments, or Zorro Ranch, or if he was somewhere else in the world, or in London, or Paris, or Tokyo, or wherever, there's a bunch of dots that connect. And if those people are involved with him, either directly or even semi-directly after he was convicted, to me, that gives me reason to point a finger at them. And if their name's in those files and they're being redacted right now, that some good person that cares that has some power needs to see that, to know that that person is under suspicion and that they could possibly be at least charged, or arrested or held in regard to their involvement. These people are getting away with so many crimes that it's affecting everybody in America and many, many, many people around the world. And they're basically ruining all of our lives. I'm telling you, when this whole thing started, I'm 72 years old. To me, America changed permanently. On November 22nd, 1963, I was 10 years old, and I heard that John F. Kennedy had just been assassinated. And this country hasn't been the same since. And the people that took over after he was assassinated have been running this country and the world ever since. And I want them to pay.
Okay, Greg. So I guess if Joel could send you the email list, that's a start.
Hey, you know, I've been in. I missed the last couple of meetings. Why? Because I was too busy sending emails. I was sending information to IOD. I was sending information to, example, Jane Fonda, because I have her email address and her climate action email address. And I've been sending emails to all these people on Substack that have any kind of influence at all. And you know, I don't know where they live. I don't know what their phone number is on most of them. I don't know what their phone number is, and it's hard enough to get an email address. You know, I want to know, is there a phone book for cell phones? Is there a book you can look up email addresses? Hey, maybe somebody ought to start a business by doing that.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, but you know, I think we have to follow a certain policies and certain direction, and we're going to take those directions from Joel at the moment, and put something together, and get this, you know, get it more organized, more efficient, get to know each other a bit better, and I believe, I really believe. This is the time to do it, and people are getting involved, and this is a great format to do it in. Jill,
So I'm gonna.
I know you had your hand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it?
Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jill.
oh, I'm
Okay, we'll hold off on Jill for now. We're having troubles with Joel.
Okay. So I hope that Greg and I have we had one really, really long conversation. So I'm gonna use an example of how we're kind of here and where some of our challenges are coming from. Okay. So Greg started off, and when he spoke the first time today, he was speaking about how do we get something to happen, and I want to make something happen with the Epstein files and how critical that is across the board. Okay. And to me, that was the core issue, right? Is how do we get these email campaigns going? And so the second time, I know that Greg was going there and he got there, but there was a lot of discussion about, you know, different people who were involved in that, different aspects of that, and all of that. But what was really cool that Greg hit on was getting a celebrity or an influencer to possibly get this and blow this thing up, and then maybe some stuff would happen. And so here's what I'm going to say to everybody who's here. Okay. We've done a lot of these live chats over since the first of the year. Right now we have 115 people in here. Okay. And we have approximately 200 people who have said they want to volunteer and want to participate and want to help and do some of those things. I am asking people to respond to the emails that we sent out, okay? To the guys, the guys are going to put our email address in here, and we are going to ask you to come in and even if you can't volunteer, if you've got some recommendations, if you think something would be a great idea that we're missing. So for instance, right now we have Sincare who's talking about an email tree. I don't really understand what an email tree is. Okay. We need someone who's working with us who understands what an email tree is. Okay. And so my message to Greg is I'm working on an email campaign. The celebrities and the influencers that I've chosen to target are Simon Sinek, Trevor Noah, Stephen Bartlett, and Tim Minchin. Now, I've got reasons for doing that, and I'm going to put that email campaign together, and I think it aligns directly with what Greg said, although he might not choose that methodology. Okay. But if Deborah or Lewis or Greg or Ms. Hughes or Debbie Gale or anyone else here, if you'd like to be a part of helping Peter with his email campaign or campaigns to Canada, please come work with us in our work group, and let's make sure that the next time we do a meeting, we're telling you and we're giving Greg what he was asking for, an email template with email addresses. And Greg's talking about how he has sent all of these emails. Imagine how effective Greg's emails would have been if there were 100 of us sending them. I've sent emails to all kinds of people. One or two emails gets lost in the sauce. But if they get 100 emails that say the same thing, they're going to start looking at it and responding. And that is where we're going to have a chance to get the Epstein files released, is if we get some people who respond. If somebody wants to come in and work on an email campaign related to the Epstein, Greg, that's there for you. You can come in. We will do this. We will try and get people to work with you. We'll try and put together, we'll get together a bunch of email addresses. We can create an email strategy and we'll put it out. And we think we can get it to the point where somewhere between 10 and 100 or 150 people are sending those emails. And maybe then we can get the results we're looking for. Or even if we don't, we've taken a step in the right direction. We've gotten more people knowing about what we're about and what we're doing. And we're not just coming into these live chats without anything happening. We're coming in where Peter will come in and say, hey, on our Canadian email campaign, we sent out X number of emails. We've gotten X number of people who came and volunteered because of those emails. And here's what our next email campaign is. Would anyone like to help us with that? And then Jill could say, hey, don't forget about me and the disabled email campaign. I've still got it over in there. We're looking for a couple of people to help. And we've got the email addresses ready to go. Can we get this going? And then we can come into this next feed or the feed after this, and we're talking about what we actually accomplished. If we don't do that, if we don't get the contributors or the volunteers or the subscribers or whatever we want to call people, okay, if we don't have any more real help with that, then we're going to get the email campaign launched that I'm working on. And that's all we have the time and manpower to handle right now. And if that sounds like authoritarian, it's just the reality. We as a team are only capable of accomplishing so much. And the bottom line is, let me see if I can find this note. If we expect some form of healthier, more responsive, more effective democracy to be available and to work, if we want that change, if we recognize that freedom and democracy is what benefits women who get raped, it's what benefits the climate, it's what benefits not seeing race, okay? It's what benefits getting voting rights for people. It's what benefits involving the youth. If we can't find a way to get people to actually participate, to actively participate in democracy, then we will fail and the authoritarians will win. So now maybe there's other people working on another way to get people to unify and collaborate and work together, and that will be the way that wins. But right now, here's what I know. This is a fact. It's an undeniable, unequivocal fact. The more people that text or email and come in and work with us, the more people we will reach and talk to about online citizen-led democracy. That will allow us to send out more emails and communications and involve more people. And the more people who work together on democracy, the better and stronger those democracies will be. And so, like Peter said, we're at this journey of 1,000 steps. We're taking the first steps. We're eating the elephant. We need to start taking some bites out of it. And so if you're looking for a place to participate in making something happen, respond to our emails, share your email address with us. We will leave our email where you can respond to us if you don't want to post your email here. If you actually want to do something and be a part of this, please come in and join us. We welcome you and we need you. That's where we stand. That is where IOD Nations is today. And we're going to put together a badass email and videos for Simon Sinek and Trevor Noah. And the more people who join us to send them those emails, the better chance we will have of getting them to watch, the better chance we will have. Can you imagine if today Simon Sinek or Trevor Noah or Stephen Bartlett from England or Tim Minchin, can you imagine the number of people that they would bring into this feed if they were here on Monday or next week? It would change everything. We just need some of you to not try, to actually come in and help us make that happen. And that's where we are in this process. So I'm gonna, does anyone else have their hand up? Greg, is your hand up again? Or I'm sorry, Peter, I apologize. I didn't mean to just jump in there, smack me.
No worries, no worries. It has to be said. We're on a trajectory now, Joel, and people, like I said,
Okay.
I believe it's a time. We have a good timing, good concept, and we're looking for enthusiastic people.
Did Greg have his hand up? Was he looking to say something else, or should I go in?
Yeah, I
And
am.
if he does, okay, go for it, Greg.
Excuse me. Number one, you want to email these 3 or 4 people regarding what? What subject?
Regarding getting them to engage with us in an international discussion about online citizen-led democracy.
Oh, okay. So what you want to do is get them involved so that no matter what issue they have an issue with, that they can get involved and help us.
I want to get them involved so that we attract a lot more people, so that when you work with someone or you create an email campaign to get the Epstein files released, we're sharing your campaign with 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 1,000,000 people instead
Joel, I
of
get that. Joel, we
120.
get that. All the people that are here, excuse me for saying this, but I think that all the people here are smart enough to figure out what this is all about in about 10 minutes. Okay? I got it within the first 5 or 10 minutes what you were doing. Okay? I had to think about it a little bit before I said, "Yeah, well maybe I want to get involved." And then I thought about it for a few minutes and I'm like, "Nobody else has got a better idea." Okay? So that's why I kind of got involved, because I knew what Lev was doing and I knew what other people were doing, and it wasn't moving at the speed I wanted it to move at. So what I'm thinking is, if we can get enough people in here, starting with 50 or 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 people to start with, and we can pick just a few subjects or people to target, then we can put 100 or 200 people on this issue, and maybe another couple of hundred people on number 2 issue and number 3 issue. But I think if we get too many issues involved, then we're going to dilute ourselves, and we're not going to get to the point where we're hammering people with enough emails where they finally pay attention to us. So my thoughts is pick maybe 3, 4, 5 main issues to target that we think we might be able to make a difference with. Start there, start small, take one step at a time. Every journey begins with one step, and then the second and the third. And what I'm saying is, we got to get on the ball, because if we don't, the world's moving way faster than it ever has. And the it's my belief that the people that elected the people who are in office now, if they put criminals in office, they're probably criminals themselves. I'm one to believe that criminals elect criminals. So I figured out that probably about 30% of America are criminals, because otherwise, why would you vote for a convicted criminal? Right? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like I'm living in this dystopian nightmare. And, I want the nightmare to end. I want to wake up, and I want to wake up in a world like it was prior to November 22nd, 1963, when we could still trust our damn government.
Craig, can I jump in? I don't think that's going to happen, for one thing, and you're in a boat full of the same like-minded people. We're all confused, and we don't really know what's going on. But we're on the right track with this movement, and it's a process. I mean, we might not be, or this might not be growing at the speed on your timeline or Joel's timeline. I know I talked to Joel before, and he was mentioning, it's got to move faster, faster. But really, in this case, you've got to be, or I feel we have to be pragmatic, and think about things before we jump into those kind of things. And that's a process. And that process, there's a process for that process. And to get that right, it's going to take a little bit of time. But I've been here for a month, and I can tell you, I feel it's growing in the right direction.
Yeah, that's great, Joel. I appreciate what you're saying. I really do. And I understand things have to be organized. And that's exactly my point, is that we have to pick 2, 3 subjects, maybe in the next meeting. What main subjects are we going to focus on, and what people are we going to focus on, or who are we going to focus on, so that we can build a team that can at a specific point in time, right? We could all say, okay, we're going to send these emails between whatever 3 and 5 o'clock on so and so date. I think if people got all those emails, not spread out over a number of days, but if they got a bunch of emails about that subject all at once, it might light a fire under them.
Let me cut in here and make something. I want to make something really clear, that I think what you guys were just talking about really helped me come up with a different way to explain this. And it's also in response to Albert Hook's comment, where he said another approach would be to make a projects page on your site listing the needs for the effort and asking people for specific help. We have that ability, Albert. It's in a beta format and we're working on it. But here's the thing that I think I can address for really specifically to Greg and what Peter was saying. We have two specific things that we are trying to do that are directly related, but they're also separate, different tasks with separate, different strategies and tactics. Okay. One thing that IOD Nations is focused on is this live chat. This live chat is primarily designed and created to bring people in, give them a chance to talk and to learn more about IOD Nations, to understand what we're trying to do, and convince them to join us and share the idea of IOD Nations and the overall concept of uniting people across the world who are pro-democracy online. That is one aspect of what IOD Nations is. There's this separate aspect. This is putting the boots on the ground, the rubber to the road, okay? These are where we get with groups of people who have said they want to volunteer and they've actually come in and volunteered. And they come into a group, and we're not there to educate anybody about IOD Nations. We're here to talk about putting the rubber on the road and putting the boots to the ground and deciding which of those campaigns are going to be done and moving them forward. Okay, that's the action part of the campaign. Now, ultimately, the way I envision it is every time we do a live feed, the action group will have a couple of leaders from that who will come over into the live group and they'll say, hey, these are the email campaigns we're working on right now. This is where we stand with them. These are the social media outreach campaigns we've been working on. These are where we stand with those. And here's the ones we've got available if you would like to come over and become a part of the working group and the volunteers or contributors or whatever you want to call them. And so part of the reason I think we're getting confused here is we're confusing the two groups. So if you're like Greg, and if you're like me, and if you're like Rakesh and Draco, and I'm gonna guess, I think Chardonnay, okay? And I know there's a bunch of other people in here who I think are like that, okay? We're now making the transition from this live feed. We're going to show you a video to explain IOD Nations to the people who don't quite understand. And then we sent out an email inviting over 200 people who had said they want to work on this project. We sent out an email indicating different things they could do to work on if they want to be a part of those work groups. We sent it out with different times and schedules where they could say, I'm available at this time to meet and talk with you. And then we can throw some of these different ideas for campaigns up against the wall like spaghetti and see what sticks. And we can approach the Epstein campaign and those, and we can narrow it down to a couple of campaigns and we can make them happen. Okay. And we can talk about why we choose one over the other, and we can do it democratically. And the people who are in the work group can vote. We pick the campaigns and we make this shit happen. We start sending the emails, and Greg doesn't have to walk in here again and say, I haven't seen a damn email or an email list from anybody. And when are we going to start making that happen? And that is the job of the work groups. And so does that delineation help explain where we are and what we're trying to do a little bit better?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, I'm done with that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna propose this question, and everybody here that can hear this probably has access to typing in chat. What I would like to ask right now is that if there's anybody in this group, whether it be 10, 100, or 1,000, I'm requesting anybody that can type in the chat. If you don't understand right now what IOD Nations is all about, or if you don't understand that you can actually go to IOD Nations website and cast your vote on certain issues right now. If you don't understand what IOD Nations is all about, type in the chat right now, I don't know. Then we'll know if we need a further explanation about what IOD Nations is about.
Jill,
So, go ahead, Peter.
I'm just wondering, did Jill get her mic fixed?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can hear
now
you.
we hear you, Jill.
It's okay. I think I got muted because I spoke too long the first time. No, I'm joking.
We wouldn't do
Oh.
Someone just went, no, be quiet.
No, Jill,
Enough
there was some
already.
background noise, so that's why I had to mute you. I'm so sorry for
Ah,
that.
see. Now he's telling the truth. Um, I think, yeah, I think, Greg, it's really difficult because the internet is, or these forums aren't static. So, there'll still be people obviously passing through who aren't where we are at. And those people, we will obviously, it's important to reach them. So it needs to sort of be both. And I think that's what Joel's saying. So we can split into those work streams and focus, have that focus within those work streams that delineate from the overall message, and then people can join those work streams if they buy into the concept or propose their own. There's no limit to what people can bring to this. The other thing, because I know you're clearly quite focused on the Epstein files, and I am too. I mean, I think far more happened in England than people realise.
Yeah.
And actually, this week, the BBC did an investigation and uncovered that Epstein had 4 properties in London that he was trafficking girls in and out of.
Oh my God.
There was a big BBC undercover. The Metropolitan Police knew, and it was at the same time that Virginia Giuffre had made her allegations, and they didn't choose to investigate any further, which is just it's unbelievable. So I think far more happened here than what people realise, and I think that's just the beginning, unfortunately. And you've got 6 other nations, Lithuania, Norway, France, a couple of others, all asking for unredacted files. And I think if we maybe went off into a work stream, Greg, for it, we can maybe start appealing to some of those other countries and get people on board from those countries who have that passion that their authorities can do the work. Our Prime Minister actually made a public statement asking Andrew to go to Congress and testify, and he still will not go. And he can't be forced from this country. The FBI asked to speak to him in 2020, and it was blocked by our previous Home Secretary under a Conservative/Republican government. So was denied access. Now we're under a Labour government who would allow access, but now the Chief of Police went to the Department of Justice personally to request the files and came away with nothing. So, that the magnitude, and I think what we're saying, Greg, is we can split off into that and start cracking some of those nuts. Who do we want? What do we need to do? Or what are the first steps that we need to start doing? But also that selling of this message needs to go on. You know, it's deeply in us now because we've been around for a few weeks. So, but you know, someone may Monday just happen upon this and needs to hear everything that we've already heard, and those people can't be lost. You know, we need them on this journey as we grow. So that fluidity's got to keep happening whilst work streams, and maybe in one meeting it's time for those work streams to come back and update and say what they're doing, and people can give their input and so on. But I get what you mean. Is when are we gonna, you know, do it? When are we gonna get on it and, you know, really target this? So I'm sort of with you, but I also get that we need to grow, and you know, obviously, the more hands, many hands make light work. So, but yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak as well, Peter. Thank you.
No worries. We're glad to hear what you have to say. I had a point there. I forgot it. Maybe it's going to come back any moment, but I have a good memory, but it's short. Oh, I just remembered it. I just remember what I was going to say. And you know, I'm brand new to this too, and there are other people who are probably better hosts, and get them involved, and get them to know the talking points, and it's going to become more interesting. You know, we have more interesting things to talk about, and saying things, the same message, but in different ways. So we're going to become better too. And like that's part of the process. I wanted to put my 2 cents in. Go ahead, Joel.
I'm going to let Greg go. I think he's in front of me.
Go ahead, Greg. Oh, okay, I see his hand. Greg? He's on mute.
Oh, okay. I'll go. Here's what we're going to do, everybody. We are going to roll into a brief work group after this. So, Jill, Chardonnay,
Hello?
anyone else?
Hello?
What's that? There we
Hello.
are.
I'm
Go for
sorry.
it.
I was muted and didn't know it. What I wanted to
No
say
worries.
before you run the video
I'm
is
not going to be
that
able to.
if you go to a site, it's called This Will Hold. It's on Substack. What it does is he has proof, or she has proof, that the last few elections have been compromised. How? Because the voting machines have been compromised because they're owned by companies. The voting machines are owned by companies that are basically Republican controlled. And there was a county in Florida where there was over 60,000 votes cast in a county that got counted in the election. Guess what? That county don't even exist. So go to This Will Hold, read what they have there. It might take you 10, 15, 20 minutes, half hour at the most, and you'll find out what exactly happened in the last few elections, and maybe even farther back than that. And then you'll know that the president that's in charge right now, he wasn't elected president. And there's been other presidents that weren't elected president. That's why I promote all the time in chat rooms, in the freaking electoral college. Every office in the land is determined by popular vote. Why not the president? If you look up why the electoral college started in the first place, was because it was a long time ago and people didn't It was before the age of telephones or even the telegraph. It was so that people could have representation in places that are very remote. Those days are over. We're a highly connected world now. The president should be elected by popular vote, not the electoral college. You know, I call it the electoral craziness because it's just their way to rig the system any way they want. The president has to be elected by popular vote, period. Just like every office. Do you vote for mayor and have an electoral college? Do you vote for a governor and have an electoral college? No. So that's why I always promote in the electoral college. But I'm telling you how important this is. This will hold, will give you an article with all kinds of references. He can back up everything that they've written. Otherwise, they'd probably get sued for saying it. And there's proof in there that we're all being hoodwinked. And the people that are in power right now and that are under his so-called leadership, they're falsely elected because they weren't elected. This will hold.
Greg, thanks for the information. I'm sure everybody's interested is going to look that up for sure. But you know, that's a good. You brought up a good point. Everybody should be able to. Everybody should hear that. Everybody should be able to find out for themselves the truth. And imagine if we had 5 million people online, and you just said that. Put up to 5 million people. Now, some people might think you're bullshitting. Some people might think, ah, who's this guy? But they have access now to the knowledge. And once you have knowledge, there's no excuse.
Can I jump in real quick again? I'm sorry to talk so much, but this is important. The reason I brought that up is because, you know, it's hard for me to go vote, but I still do it, you know, no matter what it takes. I'm going to vote no matter whether it's a paper ballot or whatever I have to. I'll crawl to the damn place to vote. Okay. And what I'm telling you is they have proof that this has happened. And if that's the case, you know, we're all just like sheep. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be a sheep. And you'll find out for yourself. Just go check that out. It's called This Will Hold. It's a rather long article, but it has to be. In other words, to cover all the ground that needs to be covered so that they can prove to you that is at least as far as the president and vice president goes, when you went and voted, you basically wasted your time.
Well, thank you for the information, Greg. I think Joel wants to say something, wants to come back and say something.
Okay, so I'm going to close out the show. Everything that we've talked about, all of these important issues, okay? Everything that we do to try and attract people to unite online democratically, we will all be, every issue that we care about will be far better served if we have large numbers of pro-democracy citizens united online. We're going to end this call. We're going to leave the Zoom open. It won't be a live feed. Rakesh, what do I need to say so that the people who want to stay and have a brief work group discussion, anyone who's here right now, the things that we just talked about, the ability to get these email and these outreach campaigns going and to set up a work group with the volunteers or whatever it is, we are going to meet. And the only thing we're going to talk about, okay, the only thing we're going to talk about is how do we get some work groups going and how do we get some campaigns going. We're not going to get wrapped up in what the specific we'll probably talk about some ideas for email campaigns, but really what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we're moving forward and we're getting these outreach campaigns going so that when people start coming into these live feeds, They see us doing things and accomplishing things. So, Rakesh, what do I need to do? Can people simply stay here and we just stop the live feed, and then everybody who doesn't hang up is in the work
Yes,
group? Is that how
we can
this will
stay here.
work?
Yes, we can stay here and stop streaming.
Okay, so we are iodnations.org, international online democraticnations.org. Rakesh, what about the people who are not in the Zoom feed? What about the people who are on Substack? Do you need to share that Zoom feed with them? Will they be able to come over and join us in the Zoom feed? Is that what we need to do?
Yes, I'm sharing the link in the Zoom feed so that people can jump in.
Okay, I think we may have messed up on that in the past. So if you are in our
Also,
Substack
the link
live,
is on our Substack. If you visit our Substack, IOD Nations, you will find the link.
for this Zoom feed, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, but you're sharing it in the Substack, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so everybody who's in Substack, if you would like to be a part of this preliminary work group, click on that Zoom link and come join us. We will take it offline in that it won't be live, but you will still be able to be in there and be a part of a pretty quick and concise discussion about work groups. If you're here in the Zoom feed, you can simply stay here when we stop the live feed. And we're going to go into a work group. So we are IOD Nations, International Online Democratic Nations.org. And we are dedicated to uniting as many pro-democracy citizens from across the world online as possible. And Taiwan has been doing this for 11 years. They increased their approval rating for their government from 7% or from 9% to 70%. Online, citizen-led democracy works, and Iceland, Switzerland, Ireland, and the Netherlands are already working on creating theirs. Okay, so we're not talking about crazy stuff. We're talking about being on the leading edge of it. We're talking about differing ways that we can do it. And if you would like to participate in that, click on the Zoom link or stay in this feed, and I'm going to count down and we're going to end this live. And that's going to be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate it, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.